Okay, hello friends, this is Yusuf here. Welcome to a new series of videos. So this video, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to concentrate on the ILE topics because this was one subject which is keep requesting more on more videos. Okay, and also I earlier made one video ILE concept in 30 minutes. So if you want to quickly understand each and one of the ILE concepts, then that video is still good enough. But what we are going to do in this series of videos is going to each concept in depth by understanding more by writing more examples. Okay, so let me first brief you about the ILE concept, right? So it's an integrated language environment, so that's what the ILE stands. And during RPG 3 release, okay, they migrate from RPG 3 to RPG 4, and they introduce this concept of ILE. Right, so this is giving a lot of features. Okay, I have listed down. It starts from sub procedures, modules, service programs, binding directory, activation groups, and so on. So these words maybe seems kind of complicated for some, even for me in the beginning. But when you start writing the code or understanding what it is, right, it's simple. So we're gonna learn everything in this series of videos. Okay, especially in this video, we're gonna understand what is the sub procedure is all about, what is the usefulness of the sub procedure, and how to write sub procedure, and create a module with a list of sub procedure and binding that with other program and how to call it. Okay, and then in the future we'll see about service program and so on. So let me quickly get started. So this video, right, I'm going to write everything from scratch. I'm not going to show something which was already written, so that it will give you some kind of comfortable, okay, on writing the code by yourself. So I want to do everything from scratch. Okay, so before that, the concept of ILE comes, right. So the core concept is write reusable code efficiently. Okay, which means if a single piece of code will be required by many programs, then it's good practice to make it as a separate thing so that it can be called by all the programs. And in future, if you want to do any change, then it's one point of entry on which we'll do the change. Okay, so by saying this, you might think that, okay, let's write program and we can call the program for from other programs. So let me give one example. I mean, the example what we're going to take for this video is, if we pass in a date, okay, I should return the day name. So say for example today is what, August 2, right? So if we pass in August 2 in ISO format, like 2019-08-02, then I should get Friday as a result. This is my objective. So this is one piece of functionality we can say, right? And similarly, we can have many other functionalities. So if you make each functionality as a program, then whatever the program, other program which needs to invoke this functionality can be called this program. So that's what our initial intention, right? But let's first understand how to do this traditionally, and then how ILE helping us to do this efficiently. Okay, so I'm gonna write from scratch. So I'm gonna say like get day name. It's going to be my SQL RPGLE, because we have the SQL function which helps to uh, get the day easily. So let me quickly write the boilerplate. It's going to be like this. So star INLR equal to star on. Okay, so SQL RPGLE, I'm starting like exec SQL set option commit none, and exec so the command what I'm going to use is values. We have a function called day name, and if you pass in like the value directly, the result I'm going to store into a variable day name. Okay, so this is basically the code. Now we want to declare this day name. So here I'm saying day name is my standalone variable in this program with 10 length character. Right, so then whatever the value I obtain, I'm just displaying it, make sure I get it correctly or not. So if I file, compile, call, so I get Friday. So it's working fine. So we build the model, right? Now the next question is, okay, we build this model or the particular, sorry, not model, we build this program, and if other program wants to use this, how to do that, right? So the traditional way of parameter processing is based on the call by reference, which means, okay, say for example here, first let's make this to be dynamic. Okay, so now it's hard coded, right? So if you want to make it dynamic, I need to get this input from user or when calling the program as a parameter, right? So what I can do, I can do a C spec with star entry plist, and then I can give the parameter here like param, and here I will say that day name. So now we set the day name as a parameter. Then here I can pass the day name dynamically. Okay, sorry, that is a mistake. So we're gonna get the date as the parameter. So ISO date. Let's have a variable ISO date. Okay, because day name is a result field. Okay, now we need this ISO date to be created. So ISO date can be a character which can come from user while calling the program, and we'll pass it here. Okay, fine. So let's just quickly check if this works. So when I call, I say give yesterday's date, I get Thursday. Yeah, so Thursday. So this still works fine. Now here is the question. So I have this program which can get one value and then find the result. But if I want to reuse this code from other program, okay, assume I have other program which is calling, which needs to use this to get the date, then how to do that? So for that, the traditional way is to pass the result as argument. So which means here we are getting one input, right? I'm going to say edit it again. So let us change this to day name as one more parameter. That's it. I'm not doing anything. I just set the day name as a parameter, right? So if I compile this, when calling, now I should give two parameters, right? 2019-08-02 and another parameter. So I get the result. But what happens is the second parameter, I pass it as a blank, which will be filled up with the value. So to demonstrate that, I have a simple CL. Okay, if you see it, right, let me go edit mode. So this CL is accepting one parameter, and I am having another variable name here, and I'm passing those two into the program. So our program name is get day name. Okay, then I'm displaying the second variable. So until here this variable will be blank. Let's see what happens after that. Okay, so if we do a file call, okay, and then I'm going to call, this program accepts one parameter. Maybe I give tomorrow's date, give me Saturday. So if you see, we have this display coming from the RPGLE. This send PJ message is coming from the CL. So the CL is getting the data from the RPGLE. So this is a traditional way of parameter passing. All right. So I set this parameter with blank, and the second program filling up some data, and I'm getting the data back. Okay, this is all good. So now if you want to, if you might think, okay, we made one reusable code, correct? And tomorrow if I say I want another function, which if I give the date, it should give me the month name, say for example August or September, like that. Then what you will think, we may create another program like this which will return the month name, right? And we can give another program name, and whatever the program is need to call, they can call it. But the point is, if you have 100 programs like this, then you need to maintain all the 100 programs. Okay, so to avoid that, ILE provides a feature, that's the module. So you create all the reusable code and put it into a single module, and you attach only that module to any other program. Then that program can access all the individual piece of code which is there inside the module. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do at the end of the video. So now let's begin our journey to the next step. So modules can be created with the list of sub procedures. So till now we have not seen sub procedures. So let's go into that. So this get day name, okay, if you go in, it is just like that doing this task, okay, and assume it's a big program. The program name is not get day name. Okay, assume something different. And on that program, I want to get the day. Okay, then if you have this code, you can either write the same code many times, or you can make this little bit of this piece of code as a subroutine, so that you can call the subroutine whenever you need it. Okay, that's the beauty, right? So which means basically I will create this another subroutine BEGSR. Maybe I name it as uh, get day and SR, and I will move that this code to here. Okay, and here I'll say that EXSR execute subroutine get day. So this will do the same thing. Okay, and whenever I want to do the get day, I can use the execute subroutine get day in this program many times. All right, but we can make the subroutines into a sub procedure in an effective way. So say for example, this subroutine is like executing a piece of statement. That's it. But if you make this as a sub procedure, then it's like a mini program inside the program, which means it can accept parameters. It can have its own local variables. Okay, and we can even call this particular piece of code from other programs. That's the beauty of sub procedure. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this into a sub procedure now. So maybe if you're a regular programmer, you understand until this portion, like we have made a piece of code and then moved it to a separate subroutine. Now I'm going to make this subroutine into a sub procedure. So how I'm going to do it, something like this. So in all the sub procedure starts with, defined with the p spec. Okay, if you take F4, you need to give a name. So I say I give get day name PR and begin. So this is the starting of my procedure. Okay, so then let me copy this and then put it here. End. Okay, my procedure ends here. So we don't need a BGSR and IndSR because it's not going to be a subroutine. Okay, and actually that's it. So by adding this pspec, I made this to be a sub procedure, but it's of no use because it is not accepting anything input and it's not returning anything. It's just basically executing the same line of code. And this sub procedure can get access to these two variables because these two are global variables. Okay, fine. But eventually my idea is not this, something else, which means I want to achieve something like day name is equal to get day name PR and I pass in ISO date. This is what I want to achieve. I pass a parameter. The procedure executes the code with that parameter and returns back the output. So how to achieve this? Okay, so now we need to do few modification here. Okay, so we said procedure begin and ending. So if it is going to have parameter, then we need to have a program entry. So it's a dspec, and I can copy the same procedure name here. Therefore, give pi enter. Okay, so if you have a pi, then it's an entry point to that subprocedure, and we can define the list of parameters it's going to get here. So here I'm going to put, it's going to get one ISO date 1, take a 4, and I can define as 10. So now what we have done is this procedure is going to have one input variable called ISO date 1, and this ISO date 1 is visible only within this subprocedure. Okay, it's a local variable. So here ISO date I'm using, and the data will be coming into ISO date 1. Okay, now I should return the output to the day name, right? So which means let me split it here. Okay, which means I will do this calculation, right? And I will change this to ISO date 1. Okay, and I need another variable here, day name. So I'm going to rename to day name 1, and here I will define the day name 1 as a standalone variable. So now if you see this as a separate program, it accepts one parameter. Maybe we can give a star to differentiate. Okay, it's accepting one parameter and it's having one local variable and whatever the local variable output at the end, I need to send as return a name one. Okay. Now to tell the procedure that it needs to return a variable, we cannot just like that put a return statement here because it knows we need to return, but we should tell what is the data type. So for that, in the program entry, right, we need to, on that line, we need to put here the definition of it. So we are going to return a 10 character value. So that is the definition we are giving here. Okay. And in the program, you will actually return a variable which matches the definition. Okay. Fine. So this will work. Okay, let's test it on. Okay, we have made so many changes. So what we have done actually, we had a program, initially a normal program. Now we introduced sub procedure to handle a piece of code. Okay, so that sub procedure will accept one date and return the value. Okay, now if you just compile and then run it, it will not, it will show some error. Let me tell that to you. It will show some error because as soon as we have introduced sub procedure concept, this program becomes ILE program, and ILE programs cannot run in default activation group. So what is default activation group? Those things will be covered in the activation group video. Now I can just say that DFT ACT GRP is no. Just add only one line. I said that this program will not run in default activation group. File and then run, working. I mean compiled. Now I want to test this one. Okay, so basically I'm gonna call it. Okay, see here it's still having, I expecting two parameters. Okay, that's not a big deal. We can still use it. 2019-08-02, today's date, two parameters, and gives the output. Okay, but internally what it is doing is actually it is passing the ISO date which we passed into the procedure and getting the output in display name and then displaying it. Okay, fine. So actually now even okay, cool. Now the question is how how big the benefit we got from here. Okay, by looking into this program alone you won't see much benefit, but what I'm going to tell next is how about calling this procedure from other program. Okay, because till now this procedure is visible to only this main procedure. Okay, so this whole program, this is the main procedure, this is a sub procedure. Okay, if I keep on adding many sub procedure, and all the sub procedures will be visible to this main procedure, but a other program which is outside this program cannot see this data. To make visible, what we should do is simply edit the file and then the procedure, take F4 and then give export. As soon as when you say export, these procedures can be accessed outside, but the problem is they cannot directly access. We need to create this as a module. Okay, and then the second program what we're going to write that can be binded to this module so that this procedure is visible to that. So if you feel complicated, we are going to do that now. So I just made this statement export, right? Then the other thing is, if it is going to be a if it is going to be a module, okay, we need to compile with option 15. Okay, if I try it, right, I'll get one error. Okay, that's because we need to remove this default activation group now. Now you can ask me why we are removing it, because as soon as you take 15, okay, all the ILE specifications are, let's put it this way, a module will be a ILE program. Okay, so you don't need to specifically say that it's ILE program, so it will take care of itself. So you need to specifically tell that default activation group on those things. Okay, so if I just run it, now it should work. Okay, now we created a module called getDayName. Okay, how to use this? So for that, I'm gonna have this program RPG001. Okay, and I'm gonna use this program to call the sub procedure which is there in getDayName. Okay, this was all written. Let me delete few things. Don't want this. Don't want this. Okay, so what we did here, so basically this is another external program which is having two variable day and ISO, and I declared the procedure here, okay, with the same parameter, and I'm just calling that procedure, passing a variable and getting output. Now we have never written any code for get day name PR here, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to file, I'm going to convert this also to module. Okay, that's important. Let me create the module first. Now we have two modules. Okay, so one module is RBG01, the other module is get day name. Now to I'm going to create a program which is going to bind these two one. Okay, so using create PGM, okay, I'm going to bind two modules into one. But the beauty is the program name can be anything else. Say for example, I give ZZZ. Okay, in my library, I'm going to create a program called ZZZ that's going to bind two modules. One is RPG001 in my library, and then get day name in my library. But in practice, you will see that program name and module name is same in many cases. But I'm trying to highlight that is actually it is not necessary. We can even create a different program name which binds more than one module. So now it should create. It's created. If I call ZZZ, basically I get the output Thursday with the display of RBG001. Okay, that is because if you see this RB001, I'm displaying on that format, and I gave here 1st of August, which is Thursday. So now what you are observing is you are able to call a procedure of other program from this program by just binding it together. Okay, so now the next question is it still a good practice or not? I can say no, because this get a name, actually if you see there are two procedures. Okay, I'll show here. So if you say display PGM ZZZ, okay, go inside, it says it contains two modules. Okay, one is RPG user one itself, other is get a name. If we go further inside, right, we can see that. Okay, so let's say display module get day name. Okay, it goes inside, it says that it is having two procedures. We know that we created this procedure as a sub procedure, but what is this? So this is the name of the program, get a name, and it refers to the main procedure. So main procedure means if you take this get a name, this is the main procedure, okay, and this is the sub procedure. So when we create as a module, it exports or it shows all the procedures including the main procedure. But the good practice is create one module which will have only this list of sub procedures, and you will bind this module to the whatever the program you want. Okay, which means I don't need this. If it is my main procedure, then it can be a separate program that will call this procedure which we are going to create. So if I confused you, let me show that to you. Okay, so what I'm saying is I'm going to create a module with no main. So when I say no main, I'll say here no main. Okay, then I will delete all this. Okay, so now this is a module which contains only one procedure, but this cannot be executed by its own. Okay, only it can be called from other programs. So let's save this, and I'm going to compile with 15. Then, so now I can recreate the ZZZ. Okay, so again I'm using those two modules. Now it's binded together. If you call ZZZ, I think I'll get the same result. Now, if I want to add more procedures, then I can go here, and then maybe I want to create a procedure to retrieve the month name. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I can copy the whole thing. I can say get month name and export get month name. It's a PI that's going to get one variable. I also did one, going to return a 10 character field, and that is going to be month name. And in SQL, I'm going to say month name of the date into the variable month name, and I'm going to return that month name. So now this becomes a new procedure. Okay, now I'm okay. What's the issue? The issue is this one. Okay, so this get month name should be ended here. Okay, so now let's create this model again. So we created same module with another procedure. Now I'm going to create another procedure. Get not the another procedure, another definition. Month name. This is the procedure name, right? And then I can say that like month equal to get month name of ISO. Then I can create this month variable here, and then I can display the month variable here. Now if I recompile this as module, and then now again we need to bind it, right? So either you can do create PGM or update PGM. We'll come to that later part of video. It's created. If we do call this, now you see Thursday, August. So what just happened? We are able to bind that module get day name, which is having two subprocedures, and we are able to call that subprocedures directly from this RPG01 because we binded it together. Okay, so that's it I want to cover in this video. So I think I took a lot of time, but I wanted to explain from scratch. So going forward, I mean the next series of video, we'll see more about modules and use of service program, binding directory, and activation group. Actually, for activation group, I have a separate video which I made earlier that is having some good content. I'll give the link in the description. You can watch it. And yeah, so the remaining things is gonna come. I hope it helps you and understood some basic concept of ILE. And if you really like the video, please share it with your friends. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for the support, and that's for this video. See you in the next video soon. Bye bye.